Hey guys, I'm back with another video for you all today. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe wherever you're at in the world, and thank you guys in advance for watching. Here's another video containing 16 more minutes of useless RuneScape information. Enjoy, guys. So, starting the video off, I've got some information about the RuneScape 2 beta period, which has always been my favorite era of RuneScape 2 because it's when I started playing at the age of 10 years old in 2004. The beta actually launched to paying members only on December 1st, 2003. Here's a screenshot of the world selection page on the website during that time. Shortly after launching, Jagex also added more servers to this list due to RuneScape 2 becoming more and more popular. 4 months later, on March 29th, 2004, the RuneScape 2 beta period ended and RuneScape 2 was released as the main game. I found a screenshot of a poll in which 2,418 players voted in on whether or not they liked the new version of RuneScape or preferred RuneScape Classic. The majority of players liked the beta, but they believed that it did need work, while 338 players believed that it was awful and wanted to continue playing RuneScape Classic instead. The beta did need more work. It was extremely buggy, and so many unannounced changes were made very often to various things. When it began, there were so many glitches. Players were getting stuck in water and had to be teleported out. Some players figured out how to use ladders outside of buildings to get to the upper floors of the game map and run around as if they were flying. Some players figured out how to duplicate their kittens and took over Falador and Lumbridge and so much more. For the month that the beta existed in 2003, Tutorial Island actually didn't exist yet. You would just start in Lumbridge and be given a character creation screen upon your first login. You'll notice that the rune crafting skill didn't exist yet either during this time. Hit splats were originally purple in the beginning and looked quite different as well. Eventually they were changed to red and blue, but kept their cartoonish look for around 2 weeks before they eventually updated into the hit splats that we all know today. One thing that some of you may not have ever known is that being able to run and have run energy didn't exist yet for a brief period of time after the beta launched as well. You can see that the game settings wrench tab existed, but there was no running man icon to the right of the settings tab, where the run energy and emotes would later be placed. Maybe run energy wasn't a thing at first because that's how it was in RuneScape Classic, players all having to walk at a set speed. I also found some screenshots of players in the wilderness during this time when run energy didn't exist yet. I wonder if PKing was frustrating during this time without being able to run. Numerous items along with their inventory sprite icons were changed as well. Rare items like party hats and Halloween masks were changed quite a few times during the beta actually. This is what party hats looked like during the beta. They were very short and almost stubby looking, I would say. They still appear this way on some statues throughout old school RuneScape even today. You can see that they were very weird looking in your inventory as well. They were changed again though shortly after this time and were given a white trim around their interiors for some reason, and this was also shown on their inventory sprites as well. Halloween masks were also changed from half-covered masks to full-faced masks. These photos were taken by a famous player during that time. Some of you may remember this player. Their username was Duke Freedom. Other items were changed as well. For example, the Legends cape was just a plain looking solid white cape, much like it was in RuneScape Classic. The Saradomin and Gothic staff looked very different as well. The Zamorak staff looked the same, but the Saradomin staff had a blue gem inside of it, while the Gothic staff had a skull at the end of it, symbolizing the genderless god Gothics. All of the staff's examine text during this time simply said, "A stick of the gods." Another interesting change that happened around this time involved the iconic Lumbridge Bridge. When the beta first launched, it was made entirely of wood. This was most likely due to the bridge being made of wood in RuneScape Classic, and they wanted it to look similar. It didn't exist for long though, and Jagex decided to change it just a few weeks into the beta's existence. The bridge was updated a second time into this stone brick looking bridge. It kind of reminds me of something you'd see out of Minecraft. This bridge didn't make the cut either though, and the bridge was eventually changed into the bridge that we all know today. Moving on, some NPC's chat head models are actually much larger than what is shown in the chat box when speaking to them. Some examples of this is the adventurer seen in My Arm's Big Adventure, as I'm showing here. Another is Anna in a Barrel, which is a quest item you create during the Tourist Trap quest. Another is the Clay Golem outside of the ruined city of Uzer in the desert. The Keymaster that stands outside of the 3 gates that contain the Hellhound boss Cerberus also has a larger chat head model than what is shown within the chat box. Another one is the Odd Old Man northeast of Varrock that's involved in the Rag and Bone Man quests. And lastly, the vampire boss, Verzik Vitur from the Theater of Blood. For a short time actually, Verzik Vitur was the only NPC that had 2 chat head models in a single model, but this was changed after an unannounced update. On October 24th, 2005, Jagex added a new random event to RuneScape called the Drill Demon. During this random event, players would have to complete specific exercises before they could leave it and be rewarded with pieces of the camouflage outfit. When the camouflage outfit released, it actually looked more like you were wearing a bush instead of actual camouflage clothes. Another interesting thing about this random event is that players used to be able to walk around the event map. Today, players are confined to the exercise area inside a fence, but it wasn't like that upon release. I think Jagex probably made this change due to some new players getting lost in this big area and probably not knowing how to get back out. So this next piece of useless information comes from a comment on one of my previous videos by a viewer named Cold Medina 844. In their comment, they stated that the Australian national radio broadcast station known as Triple J once had a week where viewers could vote on what songs they wanted to hear on the radio, and the most voted song would play first. The most voted song that did play first was Sea Shanty 2. Check this out. Speaking of viewer comments, I've got another one here from iFrode33. They told me about a 4th wall break in old school RuneScape at the Releka rooftop agility course. One of the rope swings, if you examine it, the game will tell you it's hard not to look down when the camera won't point up. If you're not using any camera plugins on RuneLite, the vanilla game camera actually forces you to look down. There is tons of 4th wall breaks in RuneScape. Here's some examples of a few more. Years ago, if you asked the bartender in the Blue Moon Inn where an adventurer might make his or her fortune, he would tell you that he refused to give you any information that might make the computer game easier. If you had asked him back then what a computer was, he would simply tell you that it was a magic box in which you could do all sorts of things. His dialogue has been updated a bit for the modern times though. If you ask him these same questions, he'll tell you that old school RuneScape is an online game. Your player will then ask him what online means, and he will tell you it's a sort of a connection between magic boxes across the world. Big boxes on people's desktops and little ones that people can carry. They can also talk to each other to play games. Not only does he still reference computers, but he also talks about mobile devices now as well. And our player still just thinks that he's completely mad. There's a level 2 man NPC at Musa Point that is apparently trying and failing at being an adventurer. And he will sometimes ask you, why don't I have a teleport home to Lumbridge button like everyone else? At Silvaria, if you examine some bones near the Odd Old Man NPC, the game will tell you what a waste of prayer XP. And at Edgeville, Evil Dave's mother Doris will tell you that she once lived in Lumbridge and that she was terrified of living there due to pickpockets and people being murdered in broad daylight. She'll continue on and appear to be very thankful that she no longer has an attack option. So, your RuneScape character, the adventurer, does actually have a mind of their own in some small ways. They also possess traits about themselves that we can never change. There are many examples of this. If you examine a blue butterfly, the game will reveal that the adventurer loves butterflies. Examining various pianos around the world reveals that the adventurer was forced to play the piano as a child, though they also claim that they never properly learned how to play. When speaking to the NPC Celine on Lunar Isle, the adventurer will tell her, "Well, I know things about myself. I know I like hot chocolate." The adventurer does not, however, like cabbage. When speaking to the haunted wine bottle, which was a reward from the 2021 Halloween event, while having an amulet of ghost speak equipped, the player will express that their favorite number is the number 8 for some reason. The adventurer also has blue eyes. Also, apparently the adventurer used to have an aunt at some point in time. If you examine the Penance Runner statue at the Barbarian Assault minigame, the adventurer will express that the statue reminds them of their aunt. And the adventurer is actually a cannibal and likes the taste of human meat. The item raw mystery meat can be bought from the Darkmire meat shop. When you examine the meat, you'll receive the message, "I need to cook this, though I don't know if I want to." Eating the cooked mystery meat yields the message, "You eat the meat. It tastes concerningly nice." For some strange reason, the north room in the basement of the Tower of Life has a floor that will light up under your player's feet. Once you leave the room, the player will say, "That was weird. Does anybody know why this happens? I couldn't find anything further about this." So, Fossil Island is surrounded by some smaller islands that the player would normally never be able to get to. On one of those surrounding islands, you can find an island with a broken raft and some crates floating nearby. You can also find this little volleyball that is named Wilhelm. His examine information says, "A long way from home." This is an obvious reference to the 2000 movie Castaway. The King Black Dragon was released on the 24th of September in 2002 during RuneScape Classic. He used to be RuneScape's strongest boss monster until the Cowfight Queen released 2 years later in September of 2004. When RuneScape Classic transitioned into RuneScape 2, the King Black Dragon actually had a different lair than it does today. Near the Temple of Icove, where the ice spiders are, if you use an Oculus orb, you can see where the old King Black Dragon's lair is, or, in this case, was. The walls on the sides of the lair have been raised very high so that players would normally never be able to see the old lair. The King Black Dragon used to be able to be seen inside the lair at the beginning of old school RuneScape, but this has since been removed. So, do you guys remember the famous RuneScape player Nova Life? Nova Life only played RuneScape for 2 years between 2004 and 2006, but he achieved rank 1 overall within that time period in total levels and total experience points. On his old RuneScape album website, he once took a photo titled Upside Down Runes. In this photo, you can see that sometime during the year 2005, the rune symbols on the magic spells interface had been turned upside down for an unknown reason, and other players within the screenshot were also talking about this. Did you guys know that there was once an NPC planned to be released in RuneScape 2 that never actually was? He was called Weapon Poison Salesman. This NPC would have been inside the Ranging Guild, and the game file suggests that he would have sold players weapon poison. There's also an unobtainable item within the cache files called Display Poison, so it sounds like the Weapon Poison Salesman NPC would have had the weapon poison on display, and if you tried to grab it, he would have yelled at you, much like the Tea Salesman in Varrock. What's interesting though is that the display poison item was a different color than actual weapon poison at that time. And lastly, you can do some tasks for the Wise Old Man in Draenor Village. The tasks are pretty simple, but the rewards aren't really that great unless you're a low-level account. There are 59 of these tasks in total that he may ask you to do. There is one strange task that he may ask you to do, however, and that is to kill the thing that lives under his bed so that he can get some sleep at night. I always knew you could kick this bed upstairs in his house, but I didn't know that you could actually kill the thing that lives underneath it. The thing that does live under his bed is obviously a goblin. When you kill it, green blood will flow out from underneath it, and you'll receive some hit points experience from the Wise Old Man after the task is over. Alright, what's up everybody? Thank you guys so much for watching. My face is in this outro. It's been a while since you guys have seen my face. In fact, I think the last time I ever showed my face online was 2019 during my last stream. And if you didn't watch that stream, it was even longer. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate you guys always supporting me every single time that I upload, which isn't very often, but you know, I'm trying to get back to it. I have some channel members to thank right here. I want to say thank you to Grimm, TheAudacity, Vindas TV, Jesper Nielsen, The Average Gamer, George Roobottom, Martlns with a 1 for the I, SoraKillingZombies, CaptainPyro, BusterGDude, Jamie Murphy, Scape05, and G. Thank you all for supporting the channel the way that you do month to month. It means a lot. And yeah, it's just been a while since I seen you guys, so I wanted to put my face in this one and say hi to you guys. It's good to see you all. I hope you guys are all staying safe wherever you're at in the world. And I hope everybody's doing okay. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the world right now, so just stay safe wherever you're at. And yeah, just thank you guys for watching and still being here. If you celebrate it, have a good Halloween. And I will see you all soon.